Hello everyone, EagleX here from ATX EagleX Gaming, and today I have my deck profile for what I would see DigiFest Blue Hybrid potentially being. This is my current build, and I also have my side deck included in the deck list towards the end of the video. If you guys enjoy this content, please like, comment, subscribe, let me know below what you really like seeing in these videos. Obviously, this is my skeleton for how I intend a deck list to be. It's not going to be the be-all, end-all deck list, because our meta definitely adapts and changes and shifts as it goes throughout its life cycle. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with openers for the deck. So my deck will utilize the Bond engine, and because it utilizes the Bond engine, our first turn we're kind of hoping for that BT6 opener of having a Gabumon, a Mat, and a Hammer Spark. And the reason I emphasize the Hammer Spark is because we're entering a Tamer format, and Tamer formats are very memory inefficient. So turn 1, people like to set a Davis. Well, if you set a Davis turn 1, you give your opponent 4 to work with, and that's a lot. But if you're able to leave them at least 2, it leaves them with these awkward situations where they have to figure out, okay, am I going to just go into a rookie in my turn by playing a 3-cost Tamer, or am I going to give my opponent 2 memory with a Memory Fixer, but also give them a chance to bond and do extra damage? Like, you probably won't bond super early all the time, but it's not a horrible idea. Also, if you have like the Gabumon for 3 damage when you do 2 to yourself. But anyways, so setting up a Mat early game will definitely give you an advantage in the late game in this build, because every Gabumon you promote is a memory, which cannot be blocked by a Gazi or any memory blocking effects. And then it's also an extra draw, which is more consistency. Also, another Tamer that you should not be afraid to slam down is a Tommy. Getting a Tommy on the field is very strong because it lets you use his inheritable sooner, and it gives you a Korikakumon stun as well. So with that, that's really the ideal opener. And just real quickly, we can go over some deck combos. If you guys don't know, Korikakumon is one of the new blue hybrids, where if you go over a Tamer, you treat him as a level 3 and it costs 2. And if he happens to be going over a hybrid, because he can go over a level 4 or level 3, be mindful of that. So if he goes over a Stroppy, you do get the Digivolving effect of stunning an opponent's Digimon with no sources. And that's the exact same inheritable Tommy has, except it's when you attack once per turn. And something I want to point out is your Soren Joe is a really strong card in the deck, as it provides extra source stripping, extra memory, and overall it's a very value-heavy Tamer. And the ordering in which you trigger a Sora Joe and then a Tommy could make a big difference, because you can strip the sources and then get the stun off. This could be very useful when you go against blockers. Another thing you can also do is use the new Kumamon, I think is what his name is, hybrid. He's basically your new Lobo. You Digivolve for 2 over a Tamer. You strip 1 source when Digivolving, which could be enough to deny a block. If you go against a Mechanorimon, they typically are slammed down, or Mechanorimon has just like a rookie most of the time. So you could go into your Kumamon, strip 1 source from the Mechanori, and then attack, and he can't block because he'd be stunned. And then, obviously, with the Bond engine, the BT6 Gabumon with the Bond of Friendship is going to be your way to get a lot of damage. It's 3 checks from the Bond restand and the Gabumon restand. Also, don't forget you bought deck level 5s. This is a really good deck into the Jesmon matchup, and it's for a few reasons. First of all, even though Ice Wall is at 1, which, by the way, just before I show the entire deck list, Ice Wall being at 1 is a really big deal. It changes how you might want to mulligan. If you know you're going against Jesmon and you see an Ice Wall in your opening hand, it may be worth keeping, just because you deny their swing and restands for being as efficient as the deck could be from a high roll. And then just real quickly before I move on, Tommy from security could actually deny checks from a Jesmon, because you have to remember the ordering for what happens is you do win attacking for effects first, and then you do your first security check. If you check a Tommy and you have a Greymon underneath a Jesmon along with a tie out, they actually lose those checks because you update the number of checks they have. So rather than saying this Jesmon would have 3 checks with a Greymon tie out, it would go down to only having one check, because you no longer have the Greymon buff and you no longer have the tie buff. Anyway, so I've kind of backtracked and wrapped around some of my thoughts, but let's go ahead and move on to my deck profile and side deck. So overall, this is Gabumon Blue Hybrid. Gabumon didn't really die in the BT6 format. He's still really strong and alive. And because MDF is banned now, your best finisher for this deck will be the Bond Engine. Susanomon is a great card when he costs 1 memory, but he doesn't cost 1 memory with MDF anymore. So you really need to find a way to put pressure on and to end the game with this deck. The hybrids are great chip damage over the course of a longer game. However, the Bond Engine could be 2 to 3 checks in 1 turn. And like I mentioned before, Jesmon could actually struggle in this matchup with 1 well-timed Ice Wall. It can struggle with trying to keep stuff on board, because when a Bond attacks and it bot decks the Sisters, that's a big deal, because Jesmon normally recurs the Sisters from grave or from hand, and if they're bomb the deck, you just denied them one of their free resources they normally have. We already talked Tommy and security strips sources, which could be a really big deal. Hammer Spark is a great security bomb along with Ice Wall, even though you'd rather have that one be in your hand. Now talking about the side deck. So first is going to be your very stereotypical Syakomon and Modoki Betamon side decks. Syakomon is great for countering the hybrid decks that utilize their level 5s that Digivolve for 1 after cost reduction. You can deny that, so if you go against yellow hybrid, a blue hybrid, green hybrids even, you can tech that in over a Strabi or an EX1 Gabumon would be the ones I imagine you'd decide to in for. Similar with Modoki Betamon, if you go against Lilith, you want to deny memory. So it's a great card to use. It's even good in the mirror match because it denies Hammer Sparks. It lets you swing safely into security without prematurely ending your turn. Even against a Lilith loop, Jackraid has a similar effect to gain 2 memory. But I also have the Hexblau engine, and overall, I think Blue Hybrid has a very strong, solid matchup spread overall, but one you could struggle with is the Diaboromon matchup. So this side deck, I allow you to have some more flexibility and to go into Hexblau. So if I were siding, I would consider dropping 3 bonds and formats to fit in the 2 Hexblau, Beowulf, Majiramon, and Davis, and fitting in another Lobomon and probably Modoki Betamon at that point for a Diabora matchup, but it's already a coin flip in my opinion. With that being said, guys, this is my Blue Hybrid or Gabu Hybrid deck list. If you guys enjoy this content, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about these videos as I try to improve the content as I go along. With that being said, take care, y'all.